things in us that is just passed down on the DNA, just through DNA.
Yeah.
The way that we treat each other, even though Jim Crow, Jim Crow, and even the Willie Lynch letter, which in theory, may not be an actual letter,
but it's still facts,
though.
But
the practice within itself,
it's true,
is raw. Like it took hundreds of years to create what was written away in the 50s when they changed laws and desegregated things in the 50s. We're talking about slavery being reformed, molded into this, okay, now you're part of us, but we're going to find ways to keep y'all apart.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can't do that anymore, so we're going to still find a way to make y'all not be able to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, now you're able to vote. Now we're going to do this to have electoral colleges and made up to do this. So there's different things that have been molded to still keep the same level of distance.
Yeah.
And we feel what the ancestors feel. We just can't put our finger on it because now it's so...
It's divided. Because
so
we have the group that fear actually doing something. You have the group that's angry but won't do something.
Right,
then you got the group that's fearful and want to do something, but the fear is so gripping to them that they don't know what to do. And I feel like in each of these groups, you have somebody that has a plan, but nobody wants to listen to anybody. Nobody wants to listen to anybody. I watch my dad. My dad will be 60 years old next year. And every day of my life, he gets up, crack of dawn, 4 a.m. and works, and works, and works, and works, and works. And I look at him, and my fear is that he won't get to experience the fruits of life for all the hard work that he's put in.
Right.
My mom, I won't say her age because I think she might kill me, but she works.
Yeah.
And they both raise 6 kids. They help us raise our children too. And it's like that family dynamic. I just don't want, and I'm not ashamed of my parents. I'm not ashamed of what they do. I'm not ashamed of their work ethic. But it's like, I don't want to be almost 60 years old and breaking my back.
Right.
At some point at 30, like I told my mom at 45, I told my mom, look, I'm going to be on somebody's beach. My children will be grown by then. I'm not doing that. You know, and that's what she said. She said, and even my mom said, and she has that mindset right now that she doesn't feel like someone should have to pass away to cash in on a life insurance policy just to experience life.
Right.
And that's where I'm at. It's like I too have that fear that my children won't get to experience not just nice things, but common sense about money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Troy is like me. We saved because we really didn't have. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. We couldn't split up money like that. My mom gave us enough that we would look decent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they gave us what they could, and Troy, he's like me. He saves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We hold on to. I can have a check for 2 weeks and won't spend it. And Troy be like, here you go. You know what I mean? Like because I manage money better. Because you know when you don't have it, you manage money a little better.
Yeah.
Kai and Troy.
Yeah.
They get $1, they spend it, and it drives us crazy. It drives us crazy, and I said my fear is that ignorance that we have about not just money but wealth, stocks and bonds, investing, businesses, something with your name on it.
No, I'm with you. You asked me, the very first question was like, well, fear that I overcame. Another one was having the conversation of money. Like I really went to my wife and was like, I just have to be honest with you. Money makes me uncomfortable. My mom didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
She's one of those people that she was like, she saved as well.
Yeah.
And she worked until she could. And then when she stopped, I was like maybe 8 years old and she had to stop working. Older lady got SSI. But we had so less that she was so tight with it. But she didn't teach us. She feared the bank. She feared.
Yeah, saving isn't good. I don't think people get that. You can save all day long and still not have $1.
She feared the credit. You know, so she didn't know much. She had a certain level of education that got her through. Got a nursing degree when it was easier to get a degree for nursing, and she made it do what it did, but she didn't know, so she couldn't teach us. So when I got to money, it's like, I got this chance, so I'm gonna go ahead and I want hot chips, I'm there.
Yeah.
But then when it came to stuff like shoes, like I wear a size 11 and a half, so if I want decent shoes, I'm going to have to pay, unless, again, deals, nobody put on deals. But I have to spend a certain amount of money, but it's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Or I get the bill, and the bill's like, okay, pay this 80 here, and I'm like, you know what? I'll pay them when I have it all. Let me go do this real quick. Versus just saying, you know what? Let me pay you 40 now or 20 now to get it going.
Yeah.
Get the next and then come back. I was like, no, wait. I'm gonna do this, and then I end up tricking it off, spending it off, having fun, and then I'll now only have $20.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, I don't want to give this up because I'm only 20.
Yeah.
But then I do spend it on something I really don't need. Yeah. So I had this fear, and I had to tell her, like, look, I want us to be in a healthier position, and we got to be better on finances. And what she don't know, she's ready to learn. But I was so afraid
to have that conversation
because I didn't want to be vulnerable. I didn't want to look like a dummy.
Yeah.
And I just had to tell her, I was like, you know what? I got to be honest with you. When we talk about this, I say yes, and I get this attitude because guess what? I feel like a dummy because I don't understand. And I'm afraid to tell you that. So I act like I know what I'm doing. Or I'd be so worried about taking care of the gratifications right now. Oh, you want Popeyes. Knowing we ain't got the money for it, but I still spend it because I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
But then not thinking when I don't pay that
but
water
bill. But that's an attest to being a man, though. I think,
to a degree. Because I
think men have fears that you cannot say. Yes, I feel like, I especially with this mindset that we have as women, like, I don't want no scary dude. But then at the same time, we want you to be vulnerable. You got to sing to us. You got to buy us flowers. But you can't never tell us you afraid of something. You know what I mean? And I think that comes from us being fearful of not being taken care of. And that's coming from a woman. But for me,
and then you saw your dad get up,
man, every day,
work.
And so I'm used to that. You know what I mean? So when he worked, I didn't know if we didn't have because it was always there.
Right.
But I saw the effects of him being sick. You know what I mean? Like he has gout, and when he flares up, like we fear, like you know what I mean? Like and you could see the pain on his face, and my dad will never say if he's afraid of something. I'll know if my dad's afraid. Okay, for like going back to the prison. I got home at midnight, sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning. My dad, I live 2 houses down from my parents, and he literally knew when I was coming home. He would sit up and watch. I had no idea. And that was a fear, but he never said it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he comes from the era of you're not allowed to say any type of feeling.
Yeah.
So if he was upset or frustrated, we knew something was wrong, but he would never say it. And I think that's an attest to us not letting our men be vulnerable.
Right.
And my dad loves us. That's one thing he will say. He will express love to the extent that he knows how to. Right. But we're not even allowed to express the love that we have because of fear of being vulnerable. Black people are not allowed to be vulnerable.
Right.
We're not allowed to cry.
Right.
You know, I remember, like, if I got really angry, I would cry. People like, she's scary. I'm not afraid. So I stopped crying. Right. You know what I mean? So now I got all these bottled up emotions because I'm afraid of people might think. When it
pops off, it's rage. Mm-hmm. And the same with women. And as a man, as a black man in particular, it's the fear of letting you down or not providing, you know, because you see so many who don't. You see this, that, and the other. And when we hear what you express, we automatically hear that negativity versus just saying, okay, this is how she explains. Because women feel. Yeah. So when you have someone who's able to feel, you're going to get them saying, I don't like this, or this always happens. Because they're speaking in they're coming from an emotional point of view. So it's shifting through all that to really see what the meat is. And as men, it's like, okay, if I hear a problem, how can I fix it?
Yep.
Because it's like, I gotta please you. So that fear of, if I don't do what you ask, if I don't want to hear that I'm doing wrong, because we're black and white. Yeah. So if you feel this way, then this means you don't want me anymore.
I'm just not noticing that though.
And same here. Yeah. Again, we've married 5 years on the 14th this Saturday. So. 5, man, and it's crazy because we're still learning new things about each other. We had to get to a place because she's doing her business. At first, it was like, we met. I was homeless, so she saw something in me as when I was homeless. That is like, okay, I'm gonna stick with you. She had everything, and the whole 9. So it's like, how am I even back in the mind? How am I even worthy to even have you? Yeah. So that fear of losing somebody that I'm not worthy, I feel like I'm not worthy to have, causes me not to fully engage or fully say, you know what, I'm going to give you my all.
And I think that's just backwards. In my mind, that's backwards. You know what I mean? Because you're afraid of losing somebody, but you won't show them. And that's what women want, is for you to show them. Right. It's like, you got to be vulnerable to us. You know what I mean? But y'all afraid to be that. I get it. I get it. I get it.
And it's at the end of the day, with fear. And there's healthy fears. There's fears that aren't healthy. There's toxic fears. There's fears that fear really comes and it starts in your mind. Yeah. It starts with you.
It's a thought.
It's a thought. And if you think about it, for you and anyone who's listening, if you think about something that you were very afraid of, I love the question you asked when you started. Think of something you were afraid of, and when you overcame that fear, that weight that came off of your shoulder, that weight, identifying that fear really means really identifying you.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with identifying you. Whether you're going from scripture, whether you're going to, from a Scientology point of view, it all comes back to the person.
Yeah.
Even Christ, if you go in the biblical route, he is the cornerstone of Christianity.
Yeah.
Or Muhammad, whoever, they had moments where they centered themselves.
Yeah. They
got alone. They put themselves in a healthy place, even when they did not feel it. And it's one of those things where our generation, we can't go off of feelings. Yeah. We get so lost in feelings that we either don't do anything or we overreact. And so with the older generation, we see what it was like when you didn't have feelings. With us being able to have those feelings, because we didn't have a lot of that older generation that worked with us, now we're like, hey, I'm going to tell you how I feel. So we got a lot of youth that say what they say because they don't have elders or older
to correct them.
To correct them and then give and show them how to do it healthy. Like with your mom here at the library. When we were frustrated, she would pull us in the office.
Yep.
And she was like, okay, whatever you need to say. I remember cursing. You know what I'm saying? I remember, having those moments. And she'll say, okay, this is what this. She didn't bring herself to our level, but she allowed us to meet somewhere in the middle.
And she allowed herself to relate to you.
And that's what it starts with. It starts with that being able to relate. But how can you relate if you don't know yourself?
Yeah.
How are you able to get to that place if you're not, first of all, looking at yourself, identifying that fear. And when you identify it, you have a choice. You either face it, you don't face it. And the consequences that come from either one of them.
Man, really quick story. Like, again, Troy is birthed from my fear. He's birthed from my shame, pretty much. And as he is one of the dopest individuals I have ever met in my life. Smooth, he's so beautiful to me. And my fear is that he will not experience the love that he's supposed to experience because he shuns it so much. Troy's fear for him is that he won't grow up to be a productive man. And this is where we kind of clash in our parenting, because he feels like, oh, well, you can't baby him. And I feel you can't break his spirit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I said, so he could be a productive man who makes a whole bunch of money but can't articulate himself or tell you how he feels. Yeah. Or he could be overly emotional. So it's the balance. You know what I mean? The balance in parenting. And it's like, I don't too much worry about Kai because, again, she is who she is. Yeah. I still cover them in prayer, definitely. But it's Troy right now who I have tunnel vision on, because I see how it can go left. You know what I mean? I see, like he does shun love. Like I'd be like, come here, give me a hug. He's like, hey, mom. You know what I mean? Like he's just like, So it's the balance. And Troy is kind of like, no, toughen up. Like you got to do this. And I'm just like, no, he can cry. You know what I mean? Like so it's the balance. So I think we both have a fear that's unhealthy because we're projecting our fears off on him, and he's not even that. He's confident. I sat in this class the other day just to experience, what he goes through. Homeboy was reading. Oh, you supposed to write there. No, this means this, and I'm thinking like, I don't know why I thought that he was in school getting beat up, and he's just like, didn't even know I was sitting there.
And that again, like you said, we could project our own fears out to our own children. And my mom, before she passed, we talked, and she said, Kent, at 2.5 when I adopted you, I saw this something in your eyes, and I was afraid. And my mom was a G to me. Like I hadn't heard stories about putting pistols on people before the church, and all these different things. I've seen her elegantly cuss somebody out without using curse words. But she was like, I was afraid, and she was like, your nephew, I felt like he needed my love. I felt like he needed, it was something, he needed that love. And so I focused on him. And what ended up happening was I felt as if I didn't belong because she felt like I was so strong, but I really was the one that was hurting the most. And he ended up being crippled because he never had to do anything because she focused so much on him. And so like you said, that balance, and I think listen to my wife more and how we are able to effectively communicate, which is we meet fear and we say, look, hey, let's talk. Are we able to talk right now? If you can, let's go. If not, if you ain't trying to hear me, then you know what? I need to move.
Yeah.
I can't overbear you and try to talk if you don't want to talk. Yeah. If you want to go in on me, I got moments where I got to allow you to do that, and there's moments where I got to shut that down. Like, it took us a while to get that balance, but I do see the balance of the nurturing that she brings versus the hard discipline and, hey, let's get this right, or that bark that I have where mom is like, she brings this nurturing, and she has her bark too in her bite.